up, fellow fundies? Today we're going to talk about dun 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 natural selection. Okay, now before you start getting concerned, you don't have to worry because natural selection perfectly lines up with the Bible. So let's get into the specifics about it. So, when talking about natural selection, we're branching into what they call micro evolution. again, don't get too freaked out. It's okay. We'll let them call it evolution if they want to. But actually, there's a big difference between microevolution, celestial evolution, macroevolution, non organic evolution, and the list goes on. So, we, as creationists, do not actually oppose microevolution, which is the process by which natural selection occurs. Now, of course, there are limits to what microevolution can do, such as while you may be able to narrow a gene pool in and get a result that you want, such as turning a bigger dog into like a little dog, like a Chihuahua, via breeding. That's not natural selection, that's more organized selection. I know there's probably a proper term for it, but I don't know it. Darn it, Jim, I am not a scientist. Anyways, so speaking about dogs again, dogs in the wild, in nature, what you'll get a pack of dogs, and the dogs that are the strongest, that are the smartest, will stay alive. They'll be able to best their competitors. They'll be able to better get prey to eat, and they will be the ones to go on and have other babies with other dogs that are also high quality. So the dogs that have diseases, let's say something happens and disease sets into a dog for whatever reason, what causes diseases, mutation, I guess, those dogs will tend to die off, and they have less likely of a chance of reproducing themselves, and thus that bad gene tends to eliminate its own self out of the gene pool, and then you continue to have a healthy pack of dogs and a healthy pack of animals. And it used to be the case with humans, but we're kind of messing with things now, aren't we? But I digress. So, in another way, and I don't know, I haven't really researched this in any science realm, but from what I've heard, a lot of how you can take people from different parts of the world, you could see this kind of adaptation to specifically help people survive. So people in Europe, where I think, you're further away from, I guess, the equator, it's less sunny, it's less hot, and then you get whiter skin for that because you don't need as much, or what is it? You don't need as much vitamin D. The sun affects you a lot easier, which is good because you're in an area where the sun isn't so prevalent. But if you're closer to the equator, it's hotter and you have more sun, you need more protection. And I think the same can go for like eye color and hair color and all that. But again, I'm not specifically sure if that's the current standing on ethnical diversity. So you see, natural selection is actually a very intelligent design. Now, when it was in the laws of nature, I would assume it was placed in at the beginning. But we know that it wasn't necessary at the beginning when all things were good. When God made all things good, you wouldn't need that process because it was all good. After the curse, however, maybe because God put that assurance of the mechanisms of natural selection into the laws that run our universe, because he knew that this was what would happen. And if you didn't have these regulations, in our universe, the world would just go to muck. It would just be terrible. Diseases and just like weak weak animals, weak people. This natural selection is a very intelligent, designed mechanism that keeps things up to par. And as a creationists, we absolutely can embrace natural selection. In fact, a man by the name Edward Blythe was first to publish a theory on natural selection, this being 25 years before Charles Darwin came out with his book. And Edward Blythe was actually a creationist. So if you have any more questions regarding this, I'm going to put a link in the description for a really great website that goes in more depth. In fact, maybe I'll put two. One that goes in depth and one that's for people that like just the basics and don't want to get down to the nitty gritty. Anyways, have a good day.